welcome to another episode of GizmoSlip. Today we're going to talk about my top 5 smartphones for 2018. And if you disagree with me, that's totally fine. Smartphone rankings are a very personal thing, what you value, and that's totally okay. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. Here we go. Now I'm giving away an iPhone 8 Red Edition. If you want to enter that giveaway, link in the description down below. The giveaway ends at the end of May here. Winner will be picked on June 1st. Link down below if you'd like to enter that. To start things off at number 5, we've got the OnePlus 5T slash the OnePlus 6 that's about to hit stores here very soon. There's a launch event on May 16th that's going to tell us a little bit more about the phone, fully confirm everything, but right now it looks like it's going to be a 6.2-inch display with a 1080p resolution and a notch in there. Yes, a notch. Now, the nice thing about the new Android updates is that it is going to allow you to hide the notch so that you basically don't even know it's there. I feel like the notch is a band-aid to get us to the point where we can have fully bezel-less phones. It's just a matter of time before they can embed the fingerprint sensor in the front or just keep it on the back, the front ambient light sensors, as well as the front-facing camera. I'm gonna have a lot of mixed feelings over the next year or two until we get past this whole notch phase of smartphones. I had never owned a OnePlus smartphone until the OnePlus 5T, and I gotta say, it kind of blew me away. It has some incredible specs for the price. Coming in at $499, you get some crazy good performance, literally the fastest smartphone on the market in terms of just raw, like opening apps and using your phone. It only has a 60 Hz display, so it doesn't compete with the smoothness of something like the Razer, but it is a very quick and responsive user experience. Now, the OLED display is made by Samsung, so it's going to be just as bright as, for example, a Galaxy S8 or Note 8, maybe not quite as bright as the Galaxy S9, depending on what you're doing. Now, the downsides here is that the camera is okay, but it's definitely weaker than the top offerings from the iPhone or the Galaxy line. That said, we don't know how much the OnePlus 6 will be improved in the camera department. It could be quite a bit better. It's got solid battery life, a very cheap price point, and a very elegant, nice to hold design. I really liked it, and I can highly recommend it. The main deal breaker for me that just made it so that I absolutely could not use it personally was there was this Bluetooth issue where it kind of made this bloop sound in the middle of playing Bluetooth audio, and I was doing a lot of Googling and research to see if I could fix it. I fiddled with the settings a whole bunch, but I could not get it to work for me. I did a lot of research on the forums, and there's a lot of people that had similar issues. So if you're a huge on Bluetooth, you might run into some issues and have to return it. Long story short, cheap, not the best camera, but okay. No wireless charging, great design, great performance. If you're on a budget, this is probably the best phone that you can buy for the money. On to phone number 4. We have 4 slots left. What are going to be the top 4 phones? We've got, that's right, the Razer Phone. I freaking love the Razer Phone. I used it for several months now, and I only recently switched from the Razer Phone to the Galaxy S9 Plus. And I'm honestly, I went back to the Razer Phone even after I had the S9 Plus, and I really just love the performance and smoothness of the Razer Phone. You may or may not have heard of the Razer Phone. It is considered widely the gaming king along with the iPhone, depending on what you classify as having the best of. But the Razer Phone comes with a 120 Hz display. That makes it such an ultra smooth user experience. You can't put grandma's buttery churned creamy goodness on it and make it any smoother. It's already as smooth as the phone could possibly get, okay? You can't get any smoother, I'm telling you. And in order to power a refresh rate that high, it has to have an extra large battery with a 4,000 milliamp battery. It can go all day, even at the 120 Hz refresh rate. And in case you need to have an extreme battery use case scenario where you want to have like 10 hours of screen on time, you can just switch it down to 60 Hz display instead of the 120 Hz, and you're basically almost doubling your potential battery life. The downsides here on the Razer Phone are pretty obvious. It has a boxy design, which you may love or you may hate. It also has a weaker camera. It has the same sensor from the Galaxy S7. Overall, the camera performs pretty solidly. I actually did a comparison review of the iPhone X versus the Razer Phone camera, and the Razer Phone actually held up. The camera is actually pretty good, but it's obviously below the iPhone X, Galaxy S9, Huawei P20. So if you're wanting to have a top-end camera, the Razer Phone, again, is not for you. But if you want to have something super smooth, very responsive. For that reason alone, and also the lower price tag at $699, It's, I think, a pretty great phone. How does this compare to the iPhone X and Galaxy S9 in terms of gaming potential? Well, the Galaxy S9 and the iPhone X both have more powerful GPUs and slightly more powerful processors. That's going to lead them to be able to put out higher frame rates in really demanding mobile games such as PUBG and Fortnite. So if you're looking to play like the first-person shooter or third-person shooter type games on the phone, it's actually not going to be the best for gaming. But if you're doing games that can actually hit the 120 Hz frame rate like Titanfall Assault or Vainglory, and it is gloriously fantastic. So, should you get the Razer phone? The number one question here is, how much do you value the smoothness of the user experience? If you highly value it, and you're on a middle-level budget, the Razer phone would be a fantastic choice. Now we get to the controversial phone. This is the trickiest part, and I wasn't sure if I should include this on my list, in particular since I haven't had my hands on it yet. I have ordered it, it is coming in the mail, and a full review will be coming soon. But I'll go ahead and give you my impressions based on a lot of videos I've seen and a lot of research I've done. We're talking about the Huawei P20 Pro. This phone came out of left field and just kind of blew everyone away with its camera performance. Now, over the last several years, Huawei has grown dramatically, but has been primarily outside the US. Huawei is now the #2 smartphone manufacturer in the world, and naturally wanted to expand to the US market. But that whole thing was shut down when the FBI said this: "We're deeply concerned about the risks of allowing any company or entity that is beholden to foreign governments that doesn't share our values to gain positions of power inside our telecommunications networks." Now, there are a lot of phones out there made by Chinese companies, so what makes Huawei different from the OnePlus or ZTE phones? Well, Huawei makes their phones from the ground up, including their processors and LTE communication chips, meaning that all of their back-end internals could have built-in backdoors that we don't know about. OnePlus and other brands are different because they're using Snapdragon processors, which are generally more well-trusted. But here's the reason why I'm willing to take a risk and buy a Huawei phone anyway. If Huawei did cyber snoop on their users and got caught, it would be the end of Huawei as we know it, because basically no one would trust their phones anymore and no one would buy them anymore. So I'm personally counting on their desire to protect their brand image to protect my privacy. So long story short, I'm just not that worried about it unless more evidence comes to light. But that's just me, and I think everyone should make up their own mind about it. And to back up my claim, I've actually, like I said before, pre-ordered one of these Huawei P20. If you are looking to get one of these Huawei P20 Pro phones, basically, you're going to have to go onto eBay or some other third-party reseller and get one of these phones, because you're not going to be able to get it through any official channels here in the US. Now, the real question is, what makes the Huawei P20 Pro so special that I would go so far out of my way to buy a phone that the US government has basically said, hey, don't buy this phone? The answer is the camera. The camera on the Huawei P20 Pro is just freaking insane. It's got a 40 megapixel camera, a 20 megapixel camera, and an 8 megapixel camera. It has 3 cameras. Now, between all 3 cameras, it's able to take fantastically detailed bright light photos because of that 40 megapixel camera, and it's able to take extremely well detailed low light photos as well. Now, the Huawei P20 Pro blew all the previous phones out of the water when it came to its DxOMark rating. Previously, the highest rated phones were the Galaxy S9 Plus, the Google Pixel 2, and the iPhone X. At 99, 98, and 97, the Huawei P20 Pro jumped all of those by 10 points, jumping up to 109, and that is just freaking insane. That said, the camera does have some issues when it comes to skin color and skin detail. It tends to wipe out blemishes, which basically means you lose a little bit of detail to the digital imaging enhancing. Some people are going to really like that, and some people are going to really hate that. Now, the Huawei P20 Pro has 960 frames per second slow motion, as well as various shooting modes that are typically very automated. And I think that's one of the big downsides here, is that some things you just can't turn off in manual mode. But overall, it is probably the best smartphone camera to date. I can't wait to check it out. I'll have a full review for you guys coming up soon. Now, for the last 2 spots, we have the iPhone X and the Galaxy S9. Now, you could also kind of interchangeably say the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 8 Plus. Me personally, I'm an S9 Plus and iPhone 8 Plus possible user. I actually didn't prefer the iPhone 10 simply because it has that notch. That notch and the ultra tall aspect ratio actually makes many of the apps that I use very tiny. Since there was no home button when you're playing Hearthstone, it ended up being with this black bar across the bottom on the iPhone 10, and then it's also cropped in, resulting in the app being displayed at a smaller size than even on the regular size iPhone 8. It's going to vary from user to user, but for me, the iPhone 8 Plus was a far better user experience. Plus, the iPhone 8 Plus has that Touch ID, so I really prefer the Touch ID over Face ID. It's just a lot faster and more reliable in my opinion. The iPhone lineup is going to have an excellent camera selection. They're going to be great in low light. The iPhone 10 camera is absolutely fantastic, and if you're looking to shoot 4K 60 frames per second, the iPhone 10 is going to have the best mode available. For example, on the Galaxy S9 Plus, you can shoot 4K 60 frames per second, but the processor on the S9 Plus is not capable of stabilizing that footage, so the footage is going to come out much more stable on the iPhone 10 or 8 Plus. So if you're an Apple user, the iPhone 8 Plus or iPhone 10 will be the best option on the market. Just because it's something you're used to, you're already in that Apple ecosystem, go for that iPhone 8 or 8 Plus. My number one pick, best smartphone 2018 so far, that said there's still a bunch of phones that are going to come out in the second half of 2018, is the Galaxy S9 Plus. It's what I carry in my pocket currently. I think it has the best display, best all-around package from wireless charging to water and dust resistance. It's beautifully designed. I really like the design overall. The only thing I hate about the design is the curved edges really allow you to accidentally touch the display, especially right here on the corners and the sides. Even after using an S8 Plus and S9 Plus for over a year, I still have lots of accidental touches. Even though the Galaxy S9 Plus has the updated Snapdragon 845 processor and upgraded GPU, it does not matter. The OnePlus 5T is still just as fast, even on a slower processor. And that's simply because Samsung bogs down the phone. And that all comes down to the TouchWiz built-in Android interface and bloatware that Samsung puts on this. You get 2 wallet apps, 2 internet browser, 2 contact tracking websites, 2 of a bunch of apps along with Bixby. And that's because Samsung doesn't want to let go of their ecosystem. If you're annoyed by these things like me, they very well may drive you away from the Galaxy S9 Plus. Another potential downside is that you can kill the battery on this thing extraordinarily quickly if you have the brightness on max and you're playing a game. That said, this thing is absolutely fantastic. It's definitely in the top 3 smartphones for best camera, and I must say I do enjoy using it for watching videos and browsing the web and looking at photos. Overall, fantastic phone. Currently, I think the best phone, though I am somewhat reserving judgment until I get the Huawei P20 Pro in. That very well might outcompete the Galaxy S9 Plus. Now, I want to make some honorable mentions here. We have the LG V30, a fantastic phone with a telephoto and an ultra-wide camera angle. This thing's gonna be fantastic for filming vlogs or filming selfie videos. You have a lot of pro controls in that camera app as well. So you can monitor the audio, you can set your bitrate recording. I overall really like the LG V30. Then you also have the Google Pixel 2 XL, and that was the phone that almost made this top 5 list. It's a really good phone with a really good camera, but I just really dislike the overall design. It seems like the top and bottom bezels are too long, and then on top of that, it just feels cheap. It's very plasticky feeling, but I definitely recommend taking a look at the Google Pixel 2 XL as well. And last but not least, we have the Note 8 from 2017. There will be the Note 9 coming out here in about 3 to 4 months, but currently we have the Note 8, and that is on discount sale because of the Galaxy S9 Plus's release. So if you're a fan of the Galaxy S9 Plus and you like having a stylus, then the Note 8 is a fantastic choice and slightly cheaper choice too. So I think I can highly recommend the Note 8. And of course the Note 8's screen is just a little bit bigger, which is nice if you want to have the most possible screen real estate. So that's it. That's my list of top phones and some of those honorable mentions as well. What are your thoughts? Do you have a favorite smartphone that I didn't mention? I'd love to hear what your top 5 smartphones are down in the comments down below. Don't forget to enter the giveaway for the iPhone 8 Red Edition. Link in the description down below. Thanks so much for watching this episode of GizmoSlip. We'll see you next time. Brandon out.